Okay, welcome. This is the Dayton Historical Commission meeting on November 8th. And I'm Pat Gales, the chairperson, and I'm calling the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on Dayton's YouTube channel. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. And I see we have a full house, yay. Pat Olson's here, Ken Pacheco, our liaison from the Board of Selectmen, our new member, Ron Smith. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you.
Bill Pruitt and Rafa Delphin and Irene Alley. Now let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, secretary's report. Everyone received that? Any amendments or changes, discussion? All right,
Every word. Like, good.
good job.
So I have to edit myself.
Good job. I'm going to do this together. A motion to waive the I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of October 11th, 2022 minutes and accept as submitted. So moved. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It passes. Okay, the budget. We had no expenditures from the last month, so our budget balance is the same at $1,586. The town accountant did send me sheet on the Segregated School gift account, and that has a balance of $5,683.34. Unfinished business. The James Briggs garden sign. And I thought because Irene and Ron weren't here, this has been an ongoing topic for us since way back in 2021. We kind of started the conversation. So the house, James Briggs' house was demolished in 2021, and that was one of our older homes in Dayton. It was a 1700s vintage house. And Captain James Briggs served in the Revolutionary War, and one of his children was Stout George Briggs, who has a legend in Dayton for his adventures as a seaman and for his strength for the stone wall and bridge building. Captain James Briggs was the son of James Briggs and Ann Pitts. Both of those families go back into the early settlers of Dayton. Basically why it's important is for two reasons. One, he was served in the Revolutionary War and being the father of Stout George Briggs. So to give you a brief timeline, the house was demolished. The garden was planned in January of 2021 with the Agricultural Commission and the Boy Scouts. I forget the troop number, but it was with Tanya Patrico and Jenna Montero. In March of 2021, with the input from the Dayton Historical Commission, the Agricultural Commission agreed to name the garden after James Briggs. And we presented the idea of a historical marker for James Briggs. We did a little garden tour in April of 2021. And it's kind of been just hanging out there as one of our issues. And then Bill did some research on James Briggs, you know, for the family. So last April, we worked on the wording for the sign, the garden sign. We talked with Jenna again, you know, they agreed that it was worthy of a memorial. And Jenna would like a picture of the house so people know why that particular piece of land is important.
Beautiful house, by the way.
It was beautiful. Yeah. So in June of 2022 was a discussion of the design, what it would look like, and some of this design issues are also dependent upon cost. Because in August, I got a cost from this Panier company that was between $1,500 and $1,600 and it's for the signs that have like two legs and a flat surface that you look at. There are signs similar on Lincoln Avenue near one of the waters.
Veterans Park, Veterans.
Yeah, the Veterans Park,
Yeah.
that little park, yeah. So, so basically that's where we're at. So what I sent to you was just like my vision of what I thought it should look like. We had talked about it. This is totally up for grabs and it's also, again, we have to have something to start working with in order to go to people to get prices. And it might be a little bit bigger than we can afford, so we'd have to cut it back, but we have to have a starting point. So with that being said, I hope that clears up how we got to this point for Irene and Ron. Any discussion? Bill?
You mentioned, let's see. When you were talking about Stout, George Briggs was a seaman sailing with Captain Nat Crane. I don't know anything about George Briggs being a seaman, but I'm sure that somebody has seen that.
It
Okay.
is, yeah.
The other thing is, on the Captain Nat Crane, well, I haven't done like hours and hours of research on Nathaniel Crane, but I didn't see any reference to him being a sea captain. And he was from Berkeley, actually, originally. So not that that means anything to this. I mean, really, it's, I'm nitpicking.
Yeah, he was a seaman.
So you're saying he was a sea captain? This
Crane.
Nathaniel Crane?
Yes.
He went to,
Yes.
he went to Cuba, right? Cuba, Havana.
Cuba, yes. He was,
I think it's mentioned in Helen Lane's book.
right, it's in Helen Lane's book, in Havana, Cuba. He was approached by a British press gang and who tore up their writs of protection while they were in Cuba, and George Briggs had his cudgel with him. And he said, "This is my protection." And he got,
Nathaniel Crane, right?
Yes.
and he got back on the ship with Nathaniel Crane and they sailed back home,
Okay. So
basically.
did you get this from Myrna?
It's from Herd's History, the bicentennial, and it's also in
It's.
Helen Lane's book.
And it's also what was sent to the Historic Commission on the Nat Crane House, isn't
Right.
it? Part of the information.
Did you guys do any research on what the secret mission was to Rhode Island?
It was secret.
It was secret.
Secret
No, because that was like way down, a rabbit hole that was way too big.
expedition.
Yes, that kind of.
I guess it is a known expedition into Rhode Island, because I was talking to Bronson from Old Colony. And he said that there was a troop from Dayton that went, and I believe he said there wasn't even a shot fired.
That's true, but there was,
So,
can I have like three minutes, then I'll shut up? I'm a Rhode Islander, and it's one of the proud moments of Rhode Island history. Rhode Island history is about this big. The secret mission was the British general in charge of the Newport garrison. He was visiting his girlfriend up Aquidneck Island, close to the ferry up, I forget the name, Holland Ferry, or the ferry that goes to Tiverton.
oh, the Fogland one?
Yeah, that area.
Yeah.
And somebody got the great idea, let's kidnap him while he was up visiting. And James Briggs was one of the guys that was in the group that actually, they got into the whaling boats, whatever they call them, long boats. And from the west shore of Narragansett Bay and rode over, landed on Aquidneck Island. But there was another Dayton person with him on that expedition. And he only had one name because he was a slave. Dighton had six people that were
Was it Prince?
in the army, the American army at that time. And he was one of them. I've forgotten what his name was.
Prince?
Prince, yes. And he was very valuable in a way because they couldn't break the door down to get the general. And they were kind of stumped by this door. And Prince said, everybody out of the way. He put his head down and he ran with his head as a battering ram and took the door right off the hinge. But they captured that general and they brought him back and they traded him for the American second in command to George Washington as a prisoner of war swap. And that was the point of the whole thing, to get this two-star general off of Aquidneck Island. And that to me was fascinating, the things they did.
Mhm.
And the slaves that were in the American army were granted their freedom after 3 years, the Dighton emancipation
Right.
of the slave, which was 75 years before Lincoln, which I thought it all kind of came together. But that to me was a fascinating little secret
That is
expedition.
scary. That's
Okay, I'll
good.
shut up now.
No, that's good. That's good. Little aside. Yeah. Certainly, we can't include that on the sign because the sign would have to be
Oh, no,
on and on and on and on.
which is getting back to usually signs are pretty much directly related to the number of words on the signs, like for cost purposes.
Right,
And
right.
The other thing I don't know is, I'm not familiar with that sign on Lincoln Avenue. How, the size of it, or is it plastic, or is it cast iron, or?
It's typical, I don't know what it's made out of. I took pictures of it. It's typical what you would see like in any park.
Yeah,
Plexiglass? Like
Yeah.
plexiglass and that's
so underneath is protected.
underneath
Yeah,
is
they put it
protected.
at an angle.
Yeah.
so it
Oh,
works
okay,
well.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the same. I was thinking more of the ones, the roadside markers. Those are what I thought this project.
No, because it
Fine.
would be either near the garden or depending, another idea is to have something like hanging from the fence, because that is enclosed, but all of that is price dependent. So, but we have to have something to at least offer to people to say, can you price this for us?
Mhm.
So.
So my feeling was it was kind of a lot of words.
Right, right. And
Be
it
blunt
could,
about
it
it.
certainly can be cut, because I was thinking about it. I think, we want to know who, why, and what. Why is the house important? Who it was? So we could certainly condense it a little bit more as we need to. I thought of, condensing some of the Revolutionary War experience a little bit. Somehow if we could kind of condense his little family history a little bit, so there is room for editing, absolutely.
Would the picture be etched in that plastic? A lot of them have the,
I don't know that it's etched. I think it's just a really nice picture and the plexiglass like seals it. So it seals it.
Yeah.
It's like hermetically sealed.
but
Yeah.
there is a picture of the house
Yeah.
Right,
on that sign. That's.
Yeah.
That's,
I kind of like the presentation like this, because you see some of the signs like in the national parks or whatever.
right.
Or in some of the historical areas, and it's done, even if it was like this size. Or maybe a little bit bigger,
Mhm,
like that hermetically sealed,
mhm.
I think would be a nice. Preservation for history for that
Right.
area and why the garden is there. I like this, the way it's
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know what the cost is gonna be, but.
Right.
Talking about basically having the plastic thing look just like this. right?
Yeah,
Or maybe a little bit, some
Well,
of them
yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
bigger, but not
I'm
much.
sure there's standard sizes and everything else.
I had talked to Mike Mullen a while back about possibly using BP to see if they would take this on as a project. I can approach him again about that. Rafa, could you talk to, was it Bob Peach?
Robert Peach.
Robert Peach.
Signs.
Yeah, the Peach Signs, yeah.
That's fairly sophisticated work though. And I don't want to end up with something that
they do some nice work,
Yeah,
you know, but it's worth the conversation.
oh, yeah, it certainly is.
Because I think they did some of the signage that's down near Broad Cove. VP did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
So we'll continue this on and, you know, we'll edit as we need. Start getting some prices. Okay. The town's webpage.
The end currently gave me all the information
Yep.
and the instructions on how to update our page.
Okay.
So all I need to do is to create a new user ID and
Okay.
password, and I'm all set, ready to go to.
Is that the typical page that's on the town,
Town of
just
Denver.
having a.
Yep.
Is
And who constructed it?
Whoever.
Civic Plus, I think it's called. Civic,
Yeah, that's-
except by the company that,
Company, that- yeah, that we designed the
Okay.
website, yeah. just that
Yeah.
company. They did a good job, actually.
Mm.
More navigable, it's easier.
is there any thought about having a Facebook page that goes along with
We
that?
already have a Facebook page.
Oh, you do?
That
Shows
is-
you- shows you how much I know.
Hmm?
Shows you how much I know.
are you on Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd be able to see it.
Just follow it, Dayton Historical Commission, like it, like the page,
And then you'll get all the.
the updates.
So on the page, should we put our mission statement?
Do we have to?
I don't know.
I think we should. Personally.
Every department has a mission statement.
Right, and then a couple of meetings ago, we had talked about some information about preservation, so I can email you all of those documents. I think I have them in PDFs. But we talked about there's a difference. What you need to know about listing on the National Register. And the 3 steps of historic preservation, I think.
Mhm.
And so you'll be able to upload our agendas and minutes and stuff too?
Sure, I'll try, yeah,
Okay,
this weekend.
okay. Awesome. So the next thing on our agenda is plans with Council on Aging for Mary Rebello, who is going to be 104 years old.
That's the Kane project. The only way I remember.
No, she's not, unfortunately, she's not a resident of Dayton.
No,
anymore.
that's how I remember it.
Yeah, so, this is the invitation. I meant to send this to everyone.
I've got it because Jeff. saw it.
Yeah, I ran out of, I late last night and I forgot all about it, but anyway. We're all invited to a luncheon on December 1st, 11:30 to 12:30 at prime time. And then we have to RSVP by Monday. I did email Trista and tell her that we had a certificate for Mary that we had voted on last week, last meeting. And that we would be presenting that, and I will donate a poinsettia for her. I am not going to be in town. So I need someone to represent the commission, definitely. So Rafa, you're vice chair.
I have to accept it, though. Sure, just give me all the information later.
Okay. All right, so here's our certificate of honor to Mary Rebello. It's on our letterhead and we all have to just sign it. So, and I brought a nice writing pen to sign it.
And who do we RSVP to?
I can take the count
Okay.
tonight.
I don't know.
Or you can call, prime time to Trista.
Well, I got a call for
Yeah.
Jen anyway, so. I'll put two.
Does anyone know if they would be attending?
Date that? What is December 1st, you know?
It is
Thursday.
a Thursday, so. are you gonna go?
It's the official pen.
Thursday.
Why?
Thursday.
Find you guys, I know, like.
some reason, I think there might be something on the calendar at home, so I'll let you know.
Okay. Bill or Ronna, would you plan on attending?
I would not, I will not.
Okay.
Give me my pen back. He doesn't use.
Oh,
Oh, I thought,
No.
I thought there wasn't official.
I did, but I forgot to pass it around.
That's it. So it's all about it. Get it with us.
Here it is. Here it is.
Yeah, it looks lovely. It's lovely.
It's in my hand.
Mine was free. It was cheap.
Right, it's nice, I bet.
It wrote lovely.
I actually got one, that's Dayton Historical Commission, I must.
Well, there you go.
I never got one.
Oh,
You've only been a member, what, 2 weeks?
Dayton Historical Commission. There's your official shirt for all official assignments. If we go, if you.
If you ever at town hall, you wear that shirt, they won't let you in.
I don't want to go in. Just so the crowd watching can see it.
Yeah,
What size is it? LG. Oh. I'll keep this one. Oh, who's it for? Me?
it's for you.
Oh, I thought we were getting, everybody was gonna get one.
No, we all have, we already have ours.
Oh,
So if you wear it at any official
Function.
function that we do.
this is an official function, isn't it?
So like if we do the Boston Post Cane, or if we
Might
do
take the shirt back now before it's
Yeah.
too late.
Tax battle, right?
crack the firecracker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So we have the certificate, we're good on that. The preservation planning is next. The completion report was mailed yesterday to Mass Historical Commission, so that ends our FY 21 survey and planning grant. So included in that report was the description of the project, a summary, the budget summary and payments, verification of payments. The contractor was Stacy and our original RFQ. So it's all set. So I notified them that it's on its way. And once they get it and go through it, they will then review and issue our reimbursement check. That'll go to CPC for $12,500.
Is that something we do every year or every 3 years or every?
No, this was because we had gotten the survey and planning grant money through the Mass Historical Commission. So it's verifying all of the payments were made, that all of the final products were done. And it's just related to that grant.
But what was the purpose of is that the update,
That's the update, the survey
the
up.
Macris? and-
Yep, yep.
Okay, but it wasn't for the whole town, right?
No, it was just
90, was it 94?
94 properties that were done.
Okay,
It
expensive, huh?
is. Did I send you a copy of the final report?
Don't think so.
Okay.
May have, you may
I'll
have,
send
so
you one.
I trust your memory better than mine.
I don't know if I sent that to everyone prior to you being on the, interested or not. So I will resend it.
Do you know anything about the reimbursement check that they will be sending, Mass Historic will be sending to the town, the 12.5K?
It will go to CPC. I talked to the town accountant about that. So she's well aware that it goes back into that funds.
Does Kevin Smith have to sign off on any of that?
No.
On that? Okay. So as long as they know, or the town knows, or town treasurer.
Right. Serena is aware where that money needs
Okay,
to go
good.
back to.
Yeah,
She and I had a long conversation about it. So.
okay.
Okay. The final documents, we have all of the forms, we have the maps. And I brought, Carrie Easterday was nice enough to make copies of the large base map for us, which I have at my house. And then she also made 2 size maps for, like discussion purposes. This one's kind of small to read, but it's there. And I have 2 sets of this. So this would be like if we were having any kind of workshops or displays that people can come and take a look at it, we flatten it out a little bit. So Carrie made 2 of these for us. And I also have it on PDF and through Acrobat Reader, I think it is. So we have those. That's just the same thing.
This is the town GIS
Yep,
where you had a historic overlay.
Yep.
So I went to that with my phone, though. It's those GIS
Terrible. isn't it?
don't work that well with because you got such a little. But so it looks like what they did was I turned the historic mask on or the overlay.
Yep.
Looks like they put a capital H next to.
Yeah, I can see here, but it's all.
That's what that overlay is. Yes,
yeah, it's just an indication that there's the properties there by.
But it's a capital.
Yeah.
Is it true?
I
You haven't even looked.
looked at it real quick, to make sure that I was up there, but I didn't spend any time.
What it is when you turn that on, for all of the properties that you typically see on these kinds of
Yep.
assessors map. If you turn it on, all it changes is we say you have 98, 99. It puts a capital H after the number to distinguish it from the other houses that are not considered historic, I guess.
Is there an index for that? I couldn't find the index of the designateds that come up on the map.
If you turn the overlay on, the historic overlay, and then you kind of blow it up a little on my phone. For instance, each plot has a number, an integer. And then the ones that are historic have a capital H fastened to the end, which is okay. The only thing, and you can't do anything about it, but those GIS for a lot of time. Real estate investment, I guess. But anyway, typically when you have a full screen and you tap on the property, a side panel comes up, giving you some, almost like the property card, you can actually look at. the
Right,
property.
right.
Unfortunately, none of them have, or typically none of them have any photos of the property. It's too bad they don't, but they don't.
Right,
It's just part of the thing. So I was hoping that we could have, it would be nice if you could have a picture of the property pop up. But that's a formula site. They use formula software and they're not going to change it for us.
right, yeah, I know what you're.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but it's cool.
South side,
Okay,
you think west side,
all right,
it doesn't exist.
so.
The bigger version.
Final documents, the inventory terms. I went to Deval Printing to get some estimates for making like 5 color copies. And it's approximately 280 pages. It was $375. So I asked him what one color copy would be. It would be like $100, and for black and white ones would be $135 for the 4 black and white. So that would be like $235. Then I was thinking about it because we talked about, how we're going to share this information with people. We want to keep 1 copy of the forms and the final report as archival for us to always have. Then we want 1 copy for use. If people go into town hall or come to the commission, we want to have something that they can physically look at. And then I was thinking about it, why can't we get them all on, get all the forms on the thumb drive? And like the library, a thumb drive with the forms, the planning board, the assessors, town clerk. That way, if they choose for their department to print something out, they can, and it's not going to cost us any, cost us. And you can buy 5 thumb drives that are big enough, the 32 gigabytes. Like for $16 to $20. So But the problem is in transferring, because we got a disk that Casey gave us, we haven't gotten a thumb drive yet, but I was able to transfer that information onto a thumb drive using my laptops at home. But they're all in Word. So when I was talking to Mike at Duval's, he said, if you're going to use a thumb drive, you really want to get them into PDF forms so that no one is going to be changing your documents. Because if you have a Word document, anyone can go in, once they download it, they can change it. And he's right, because, and that happens, and it also would change a Word document if it's done on a PC and you send it to someone who is an Apple user, they don't always translate well. Sometimes the layout will change, will shift. So, but with a PDF, you have to, it's stabilized, it's locked. So the format always stays the same. So I kind of played with it a little bit last night, with some effort. You know, it's easy enough to change a Word document into a PDF. It's just that there's 94 files of it to do.
Well, why is that? I haven't actually done that. I've changed, I did try to change a Word document into a PDF, but.
You just save it as a PDF when it drops down and on your
Do you
save
use
as.
some utility, or is there a toolbar on the toolbar?
If you're saving a Word document, you're using a PC,
Yeah,
you're saving a Word document, you go to save as.
okay,
And then it'll say Word document, like Word 93 to 2010.
Yeah.
So there's an arrow, you click down on that, and then you can now save that file as all different kinds, like Excel, or there's a PDF and there's other formats.
now you do a test fire on that, right? Because a lot of times that when you're talking about PDF, we don't always translate that well.
I've never had that problem with the.
Okay, so you've done it before.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay,
I do it all the time for like, if I make.
if there's pictures in the,
Yep, it's,
and the pictures map, okay.
Yep.
Because sometimes you can paint yourself into a corner on that.
yeah,
I think Google has a knockoff. You don't have whoever has Acrobat, the real PDF people. That they have a default that it comes up with like a knockoff version, which might be
you can load for, are you talking about Google
Opening. a
documents?
opening a PDF without having.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that might be what you're kind of running into.
Although you're right about the security, so once that PDF is created, you can't edit it without the appropriate
right,
expensive.
right. It's just, yeah, it's safer. So that's, so I'll kind of like play with that still and work with it. Because I think it's important that, you know, we have the information accessible to the public. Continuing on talking about our copies and stuff, I figured out, at least for the copies that we want, our one archival and our one color copy that we want, we'll need 2 notebooks, 3 sets of archival plastic sheets, just because of the sheer number of papers that we're talking about. Some tab dividers so that we can separate them by streets, and yeah, those 3 things. So I looked at WB Mason, and it came out to, I don't think we pay shipping to WB Mason. That I have to check that with Leanne. So it was about $70, but I wasn't sure about shipping. So I said, well, if we budget, say 80, that would cover the expense and any shipping if there is any. So I would ask you to approve an order for WB Mason for these archival
Did I
materials for not to exceed 80.
see something on here that I find kind of surprising in a way? Where's North Dayton?
It's on, what do you mean, where's North Dayton?
I mean, usually when you have a compressed area, you have what they call them, insert.
Because
insets.
those right there, those are only the areas that were done in the survey. At the bottom you're talking?
Yeah, yeah, these,
Those were the areas that were done in the survey.
this is not a complete.
That's only the,
94 houses. The
That's
next,
all
the
of that
next
was the 90.
phase two is North Dayton,
Right.
So-
parts
so
of
there
North, I
are
should say.
gonna be, okay, so
Mount
there'll be
Village.
newer versions of this coming along, okay. Including West Dayton, I'm sure.
I don't know about West Dayton. Is that even part of Dayton? You guys get to vote?
No, we don't get to vote. Get to pay taxes though.
Of course.
so anyway, I'll entertain a motion to approve a WB Mason order for our archival materials not to exceed $80. There a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Extensions? Okay, great, thank you. I will take care of ordering that. And once I get the materials, maybe if there's some people around, we can start working on at least getting them into the notebooks. If four of us want to work on it, I'll post it as a meeting, but I'll let you know once things are,
Okay.
once I get the order. Okay. The Historic Buildings of Dayton program. I'm working with Jocelyn on a program to present about our survey results and historical markers. Wait a minute, before I get there, I jumped. No, I didn't. I'm good. So we're planning a program for November 28th on Monday at 6:30 at prime time. And her little blurb on her event keeper is Dayton's Historical Commission will give a presentation on their efforts to identify and highlight some of the buildings that are part of Dayton's historic landscape. Join Chairperson Pat Gales for this presentation that explains the grant-funded survey, as well as some of the initial results of this town-wide survey. We'll also hear an overview of the historical marker program, which puts a spotlight on historic properties, how they qualify for the marker, and a closer look at the building's lineage. So we're working on that. Basically, it would kind of like be a little bit more than what I said to the selectmen when I presented the results of the survey to the selectmen. But any and all are welcome to join. I'm putting together a PowerPoint,
I'm on the 28th.
the 6:30.
6:30.
Will that be recorded?
Yes, and I think it will be on the library YouTube channel at that point because they're hosting.
Get much, visibility from.
Absolutely, yes.
It's worth it.
And we're putting a resource list together, so the library would have some resources for people.
Cool.
Pat, would you want to talk about your houses a little bit, about your markers? And Rafa? House markers? November 28th.
They think about big pieces of paper.
He was distracted.
so what was the itinerary, the date of, what is it,
November 28th, it's a Monday at 6:30 PM,
at?
prime time.
Include supper. Oh,
No. It's an event you would wear your official shirt at. So, Ralph, if you wanted to say a few words about your house marker. And Pat, if you would want to say a few words.
Well, I
about-
thought, is he gonna talk about the program and?
He could, or I can talk.
Yeah,
more.
I don't,
Yeah.
he is what I'm saying,
Oh, okay.
this is your ball, run with it.
what is, I don't know anything about what has transpired.
I will
Certainly.
send you, I have a list of things that I'm gonna have to send you.
Well, certainly. I can listen to the presentation. We'll do it at least.
I'll send you the historical
Yeah, okay.
marker.
Talk about generals.
You have that?
Right.
And Irene,
Probably looking map. Just not just the list of clusters of subdivision.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
So on the survey update. With phase two, which is our North Dayton and Mount Hope area. Our contract began on October 31st. Our part was to send a letter to the chief of police regarding that the preservation consultant would be in town. So that he knows that she will be taking photographs and, stopped on the side of the roads and stuff. And also that introductory letter to any residents that would question, what Stacy was doing, introducing her as a preservation consultant that was also working for us. So Stacy has, the police chief has his letter, Stacy has her letter. So they're all set. I checked in with Stacy and she's going to be doing research for the next 2 months, gathering materials and all of that together. She feels that the field work would probably begin in January. And probably at our January meeting, we would talk about the final list of properties that she would be working on. Just as she did with the last project, we had input to that final list. So that probably will be at our January meeting. The goal is to have all of the draft forms by the end of April. So our second project has begun. All right, CPC report. Bill, you have anything?
Well, we haven't had any applications at this bit because of the closeness to the special meeting and so forth, so. But we've been changing, well, we changed the, we still have the eligibility part, because it usually, it's two parts, what we have today, the eligibility application and then the financial or the details beyond that. So we've completely changed the final application so that we model it after one of the, I think, Cambridge CPC or the, Cambridge, Mass. I forgot one town that we settled on that seemed to have a much more information that the original, that, for instance, it didn't have the date. I don't think it had a date of acceptance and things like that, because one of the things that we're looking at is because so many of these projects, that especially the one that was granted to the housing authority for the all those electrical components, it was quite inexpensive. It was over 200K, I think, for that project, but they still haven't completed it. In fact, they haven't even sent out, they're only now this is 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That was okayed by the town and granted by the CPC and everything. And so they're just now putting out bids for that. So that's the kind of quandary that we don't want, we'd rather not have 3-year on the money.
Yeah.
Because we lose track of it. I mean, we don't know, we have to, so we may be putting time limits, but we beefed up the details and things so that we can get a glance of where they are, any particular grantee, where they are in the process. And we haven't come up with a deadline kind of thing where you have like a year or 2 years. So we haven't dealt with that. And we just moving along, we have that Dropbox app that we keep all our stuff in, so that all the members are hooked into that,
Yeah.
Jonathan Gales has done all that work and he came up with the idea. So we might want to think about, it's free.
Yeah.
And you can store X number of gigabytes per Dropbox. And
Does everyone know what Dropbox is?
I don't.
Nope.
well, it's Well, a Dropbox is like, you know, a container, a classic Dropbox is like a mailbox thing. Well, like here, we can put your check in for your taxes and stuff, I don't know. So, it's just an app that you put on your phone. It's available, you know, probably, certainly for iPhone, and it's probably available for all the phones. And, you just need a administrator, in this case, Jonathan Gales, who kindly set it all up. And so you can have two people work, you can have somebody working on a piece. And then when I go and look at the app symbol, I can see there's been somebody in there that's been document that's changed and so forth. So it's kind of useful.
It's a way of communicating. It's so like if I was going to use it, I would take like the James Briggs garden sign that we looked at, I emailed to everybody. I would take that and put it into Dropbox, and then I would give all of you access, like, and it would be through like a link to it. And because you could do it on your computer, not just your phone. And so you would click on the link and then you would have access to that document. You know, I've used Dropbox for, you know, different things here and there.
Oh, you have Dropbox in your phone?
Not on my phone, it's on my computer, yeah.
Okay, but it's the
Yeah.
same Dropbox.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
same app, you know. I can look at it a little bit, so, you know, to
Mhm.
explain it better for usage. So if we wanted to consider doing that, we can talk about it. You know, so,
Now, one last thing I can think about CPC on tonight is I got a comment from Kevin Smith. Because we were talking about the grant money and all that coming back. And he kind of highlights a problem he has with the way we have structured the names of, you know, the survey and so forth. Because we don't have anything that he gets confused with these phases, whether they were part of the one that we're finishing up, or is it going to be, are we talking about a phase that's involved with the coming up one? So he thought maybe it'd be better if we had like the phase is the project, or in other words, the money comes in for, or the money is granted from the CPC for something that we do. In this case, in the previous case, it was all those houses that we did. And so maybe that would be like phase one. I think, see, I
I know what you're
looked in the phase, you know what I'm talking.
so what happens is the first survey and planning grant that we had was the first money from FY 21 from CPC. State sets up the contract and calls it, you know, phase one. But like it was the Dayton Community-wide Historic Property Survey update. And within that were the phases, there were 4 phases, that's how they labeled them for, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, they called them phases. So, but that's coming from Mass Historical Commission, so that was why that terminology was used. So when we put the letter in for the second part that we were doing for North Dayton, you know, I asked them, they said, yes, that you would say in the title phase 2, because now we're looking for which we didn't get the funding from them. And I understand that the confusion, I think some of what will help that is the invoices that come in will be numbered. I'll ask Stacy to number them. Because again, the contract is divided at this time to 3 payments. 3 equal payments. It's going to be part 1. So I can see where, you know, it gets confusing.
It seems like they run over each other. In other words, you get cross pollination of phases into 2 different.
Yeah, and some of that, you know, probably was inexperience on our part, you know, and also because that's the way the state for their state, you know, funding, that's how they named them.
Now, from the CPC standpoint, when we granted the 25K on the first, I'm not gonna say phase, phase one,
The first project,
something, anyway, and so from the CPC's point of view, as far as the different parts of the contract, which are subdivided, right? The payments go out not as a 25K one.
no, there were
Do
4
they?
payments, no.
Yeah, they're subdivided
Yeah.
into, okay. So I think. And you made a visit. Oh, I think it was because. Maybe we hadn't made it clear that 12.5K was coming back from the. Remember, there was an extra meeting, you know, there was the grant. the
I
20
think some of that, there was a lot of confusion, and I think there was a lot of confusion because there was some lack of follow through from the CPC and, you know, but
Yeah,
that's.
so- All right, so getting back though,
So what
Getting
I
back
think
to-
I can do is, you know, like,
so we have.
I can make sure that when those invoices come in, because they're gonna come to us first again,
Who-
make
Who's gonna come to us?
the invoices for the next project, the one that started in October.
So there's an invoice for each one of those payments, right?
3 payments, there will be 3 invoices.
Okay, so that's where it impacts. The CPC has to sign, the chairman has to sign off on those.
Right.
And I think he gets confused on what he's signing. for.
I'll make sure that it's clear.
Yeah. So maybe we could keep phase one and phase two, meaning phase one would be the prior one that we've already done, or that's been completed. And phase two would be the North Dayton one, right?
That's phase 2, yeah.
So when you we need a way to subdivide the payment schedule.
Mhm. And I'm
What
saying
is it?
it'll have an invoice, it'll have a number on it.
Right, but that's just arbitrary, something on the invoice, right, that comes some
It'll be-
large.
Yeah, yeah,
I think we need something that is more local to us, like for instance, part one. Or payment one,
all right, let me check too, because in the contract it says
okay,
we have phase 1 completion, phase 2 completion, phase 3 completion.
yeah, so that's.
Because remember, when we started this, we were going for state money too, and now we don't have that, we didn't get that money,
Right,
but that's what, so I'm thinking if we. She titles it phase 1, and we can put,
can we put a superstructure on top of the phase 1, 2, and 3 or whatever?
I can even make a note on the invoice that says this is the first payment of,
One of 3 or
Well,
something.
instead of having phase 1, meaning, well, yeah,
I'll
if you,
talk to Kevin and he and I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, what's gonna be clear for Kevin. I'll chat. with
well, I
him.
want to be kept abreast of that
Yeah.
because I am the voice, so.
Yeah,
I want to make sure that we all agree, well, I want to, my job right today, doing this today
Yeah.
and now. Was, you know, Kevin wanted to give me a heads up to bring this up at this meeting.
right, okay.
So, but what about, let's just back up a second on when the contract describes the whole thing. Say we're talking now back doing the one that's completed, the phase 1, 2, and 3, I guess you would call it. But what was the superscript? No, what was the superscript of the overall project, even according to Mass Historic? What did they call it? They didn't just,
The Dayton Community-wide Historic Property Survey Update.
okay, so that's so
It's the
general that
title.
it doesn't subdivide into the different
Phases.
things that we're doing. So if you, yeah, I don't know the answer. If it's in the contract, then that's a problem to change the
Yeah,
reference.
but on the, but certainly I think on the invoice, we can indicate,
All right, so
you
you
know, yeah,
can get in touch with him if you want.
yeah, and if, and I'll let, you know, email you, whatever, you know,
Maybe the accountant has some ideas on that too. You might
right,
invite her,
right,
but I'm sure she's in the same.
yeah.
We should have thought about this and nobody really thought about it. I mean, if the, well, then, but when you think about it, since the Mass Historic is not involved in this second go round,
Right,
that means that they aren't going to make a name. What kind of, the contract's been written for this, for her to, okay, and it has in it the
we
same,
approved the contract.
Huh?
Yeah, because we did that.
But what does it have for the major title in the second contract?
It's the Dayton Community Wide Historic Properties Survey Update Phase 2. And we took that because that was the title we used when we were.
That's okay then.
Yeah,
Okay. The only trouble is that
within that,
it's shared with the phase,
Yeah.
which is a different phase.
Yeah.
Different thing.
I
It's not
understand.
apples and oranges, apples and oranges.
We'll figure it out.
On a more general
Well, they
note,
say the devil is in the details, and this is the case they are like.
Figure it out.
just to get me a little updated with, is there anything other than this bubble that the CPC is doing on the historic level that is in progress or has been requested? Really, I'm just asking because
We haven't had, and well, Ken mentioned to me that we weren't gonna, I mentioned that we wouldn't have been able to make the special meeting for the CPC
Mhm.
warrant article. So June is where it's going, right? You guys, somebody is gonna come to and put in an application of eligibility. So I was thinking at that point, this might be a good thing to bring up before that. There are restrictions on what you can and can't do when you repurpose a historic building. And I don't think it's too constrictive. It may not be, it depends on what the plans look like. Whoever's doing the plan, the design. So when you come to the, when somebody comes to the first eligibility meeting for that project, it would be, it may not, well, what we can do is, and I think this blends into, you have a bullet here for about the library status.
You want to just hold, I know where you're going. You want to just hold until we get to that library committee talk? Because I have one question for you. Hold that part of the conversation till we're talking about the library building, because I have a question for you, Bill. So you said there's new, like, procedures and all of that for CPC. Now we have the money that was awarded at the June annual meeting for this project. What kinds of requirements, reporting requirements or anything besides the invoices are we gonna have to do?
Well, that was my, when Stuart Saginaw, who is the CPC or the CPA in the state, he's the head of it, came to us and visited you and quite some time ago. And I asked that question. I said, is it, first of all, let's do a sanity check here. Can we actually repurpose a, I didn't know anything at that point.
That's not my question. My
Oh.
question has to do with the money that we have right now that we're going to be spending on our phase 2 project. Does the CPC have any requirements that they put into place that we need to know about reporting the status of that project? Of the survey project? Do I have to go send a report? Do I have to go to a meeting?
It's not clear. I wish I had an answer. It's something that we should probably bring up on the next CPC this month. That's a good idea, though, as far as status go. We don't require a status.
Mhm.
I don't think. However, if you do delineate different parts of the project, which we do here, because of the way the contract's written and so forth, it would be a wise idea to maybe when you finish the contract, writing it up and so forth.
But there's nothing that's been formally decided by the CPC on that.
There's nothing there because if they've given out the 25K and there's no mass historic involvement, the 25K goes into an account someplace. And so when your first check has to go out to, what's her name? I keep forgetting. Stacy. Then the first one wouldn't be interesting to CPC because there's nothing to report other than the check has been sent. Right? But the second check comes around, and then you would give a status report, say, between the first and the second check. That might be it would be a waste of time to just say, oh, we sent out a check, you know?
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna bring it up, and and maybe make a motion that when we have a a multi-stage financial and a contract situation, that at the second and the order, then either as.
Well, the
Penny and
reason I
Howard,
asked
yeah.
that question is because you were talking about the project that was out there for 3 years. And
Oh, the first project?
the lighting project,
Lincoln Village.
Lincoln Village, that was out there for 3 years. You know, if there was a reporting process, you would have known, the
Mhm.
committee would have known
Good
that.
point. Good point.
So,
Yes,
I mean, if
absolutely.
so my question was, is there such a,
I'll bring it up at the CPC this month. We'll see if we come up with something.
I can tell you when we got the grant for the Dayton Historical Society, they had asked me, the former chairman had asked me to, on a quarterly basis, give them an update on the project. I did it every 2 months instead of every 3 months. I would give them, we've completed the roof on the house. This is the invoice for it. This is how much it's gonna cost. This is what we're gonna be doing next. This is what we think we have a balance of money. And I would do that on every 2 months. I would just.
Now, did you go to a CPC meeting or just sent them some?
Sometimes I sent it in, sometimes I went to the meetings.
Okay.
It was different, but
but you had,
that's why I'm surprised that, because you had the same chairman who told us we had to do it every quarterly, that Lincoln Village didn't have to do any.
Kevin
reporting.
Smith?
No, the
No.
former chairman.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were told it was, I never saw it in writing, but that made sense to give them a quarterly report as to what's going on with it instead of the last day, the end of the year to say, okay, this is the bill, this is, you know. please
I'm
give us the money.
surprised that the CPC group hadn't asked for reports.
Yeah.
To follow up every year on the projects.
Well, it was this era,
So Bill,
Yeah.
so you will check on that, you bring, and let us know, what we need
Yeah.
to do. Okay,
So back to my question, there's nothing in the works besides this as projects that have been approved or
your question is our survey project the only historic project
yes, that CPC is involved in
right now?
right now.
I think, yes. I think so.
what do you mean? What, I'm not sure I understand. Ron,
Is there a project in the works to redo the Segregated Schoolhouse? Is there a project, there's projects.
yeah, and
Anything
also,
from-
I think there's an estimated time for the eligibility contract or request. So that's another question, is how hard, fast do we try to hold the grantee as far as his estimate of time? In our case, the contract defines that. In the Lincoln Village thing, I don't know what happened on that. That was not, it was before my time.
So we do have, like, we went to the capital outlay committee and gave them like a 5-year plan of what we thought we would be spending money on or requesting money for. And so 3 of the years was for survey projects like we just finished on properties. 1 year, FY 25, I believe it was for some architectural and plans and stuff for the segregated schoolhouse. But that's just like in the plans. It's not officially,
That's town money involved.
that's using
CPC money.
CPC
So
money.
just CPC?
But
Okay.
that's something that is like forecast. There's no application,
No, that
Going forward.
is something that's actively
no.
in the mill. Okay.
So in the case of, just as in the case in Lincoln Village, that's a problem because if I hadn't brought it up, I think it would have gone down the disappearing rabbit hole on that.
Yeah.
But so, I'll get back to you on that.
So. Thank you, Bill. On the library building committee report, they have not met. We have not met since our last meeting because the next meeting is November 16th at 6 p.m. at prime time. At this meeting, the committee will review the bids for the outside work and make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen for exterior work and installation. The bids are due by November tenth, which is Thursday. And in the procurement document, the contractors were asked to include 3 different alternatives for the exterior work. And then after the committee makes their recommendation, the Board of Selectmen will meet to act on it. So that's it in a nutshell. Yes. Am I good?
Yeah, we met with, there were 6 contractors interested. The day that the bids went out, we met with 3 of the contractors. All 6 were invited at Smith Hall. And we told them what we were looking for. We're also looking for them to give us a bid on contract work inside, not the work itself, but what would the prevailing wages be for the carpenters to do the inside work so that we don't have to go out for a bid again. And Joe Shea is the one that's designing, is involved in this.
But the contractor has, first step, I'm sure you're aware, that is you have to hire an architect to draw the plans for the interior. I don't care about I don't think CPC really cares that much about the the hall is already compromised in a way because it lost its little tower and everything, but you have to have, in order to get a cost estimate from a contractor, unless he's a qualified designer as well, you would have to have 1 or 2, typically an architect will give you 3 different or 2 different proposals in case you don't like one of them or something. And then when you decide, and so as far as the CPC goes, I found that there is a way, there is on the CPC website, CPA website, there is a document, which is a guideline document about what we're talking about. So I could just, or you could go there, or I could just email a copy to you or somebody, or
Why don't
to
you
us,
share it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And that way you can see, because that's what we're going to go by.
Well, Joe Shea, who is our architect, who's designed everything on the outside and the inside for us, he's actually the one that's going to represent us at CPC. He's quite familiar. He's gone to CPCs all over the state for different projects. So he's familiar with it. He's the one that's, we have no idea what the cost is going to be now. That's why we're asking them to give us what it would cost the town per hour. We'll have Jim Aggie figure out how many hours, a rough idea as to how much.
But you're still, so do you have an architect?
Joe Shea.
Okay. And he's giving you, but then you need the breakdown, his,
Yeah, no,
the deliverable and all that stuff.
I
so-
understand that.
I think that's,
Oh, so let me continue with my report on the library, if you don't mind. So we met with them. They have to give by November 10th, as you pointed out. And then at our November 16th meeting, we're going to look at the 3 options. Just to give you an example as to how much it's going to cost, it would cost $1,100 just for the red cedar shingles for the outside of the building per square. We need 37 squares. That's a lot of money. We're probably leaning towards a vinyl. They've given us samples of it, and we'll have samples at our meeting on Wednesday. We'll have samples whenever we bring it to the board of what they can do, and the colors we'll have a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen as far as colors also.
Vinyl what?
The vinyl. It's,
Oh, shingles. Okay.
Shingles, not not like the clapboard.
clapboard. Okay.
It's shingles. And it actually looks pretty good. It's going to be cheaper than putting red cedar shingles that you have to maintain.
Yeah, it looks pretty good from the outside, right?
You have to get close.
Huh?
You have to get close and look at those shingles.
yeah,
A lot of them are
I,
falling off and it's,
and the shingles are tough looking. Yeah,
So the shingles look, they're cedar shingles probably, right?
yeah.
But-
Right.
red cedar
But they,
shingles.
they've served their purpose. They're,
Shabby.
yeah, time to retire.
I don't know though, I mean, a lot of us have old shingles. Or,
When
old,
you're younger,
it's,
they're,
yeah.
My house,
Get to a point.
my house has old shingles. I've had the house for 35 years. It's got I've added to the house, for exception of that area, it's got the original shingles. So I've been taking those shingles down underneath it. I've come across clapboard. They put the shingles over the clapboard, but they're like paper, some of those shingles. So I've taken them off. I've had it for 35 years. It could have been on there another 20 years for. But at some point, They just get worn
But
down.
those are original to your house probably. Oh, really?
No, because it's clapboard underneath. So there's clapboard, lead paint.
I got Red City shingles on it, it's the original to the house. The house is 100 years old and they're as good as new.
And have they been maintained like linseed oil or boiled linseed oil? on
It was painted,
Oh, they're painted? That,
all painted for years and then I had it all,
So that's-
okay, that's preserving them.
Yeah, that's.
that probably protected
Yeah.
it. Now I had it all blasted.
Mhm.
Be blasted off the paint.
Yes.
It was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep up with it.
So,
It's stained, so.
okay,
So we'll, and a representative from the Historic Commission will be is on the library committee, so we'll listen to her as far as what we should be doing for the outside of the building.
Okay,
But it's, the plans are out there, it's what the inside's gonna look like and the outside, people, it's been out there.
have you seen the plans for the inside, Bill?
only
The renderings?
the promotional
Yeah,
thing, is that what the plan is?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have specifics as the height, I mean, they got a ramp going up to the stage, so they don't have,
From my own point of view, but that may not, the CPA, the state may be very liberal. I haven't seen the document, but there's a document that I was told is the one to go to. So I haven't done that yet. It's a PDF file. So anyway, but when I'm thinking about it, that building, I took a tour too. I scooped everybody and I went when I heard the rumor and they graciously gave me a tour of the whole building. But the hall, which is the main part of the building. If you were to subdivide that, in other words, put a separate floor halfway up kind of thing,
when,
you're not planning to do that.
we're not planning to, we're not,
So I really don't see any problem from my point of
yeah,
view.
no, there's very little, quickly, just, you know, like the kitchen. You have to go down 3 or 4 steps if it can happen. We're going to raise the floor level with the floor,
Okay.
so we don't have to have worry about ADA and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
It's
sure.
gonna be the kids, part of the library is gonna be where the stage is, gonna be glass so that parents can be in the regular library, can see their kids. There'll be a ramp going up these, all the doors, I mean, the doors are original doors, but there is, because of ADA, one door area is like 30 inches, it has to be at least 36 inches, so we know we have to do some changes. But we're not taking woodwork out, we're not, I mean, it's just, they've got very good plans and it's an historic.
Gut feeling is it's not gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
But I will get, if I can get that document.
I would appreciate getting.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, all right.
just email each other, the whole
Yeah.
commission.
Okay, sure.
So everyone has the
No
same
problem.
information. Okay, good. And does anyone, Ron?
Yeah, I just gave you a little heads up on that. Now, to me, there are 2 buildings involved in this project. Probably 2 of the top 5 historical buildings in the town. An emphasis on the Smith Hall. What about is there
Andrew
any,
Carnegie,
in other words, if this said library buildings
it's
committee
building.
report, is that true or is that not?
No,
true?
because the Andrew,
It says library building.
Buildings,
Yeah, but
because I'm talking about Carnegie.
yeah, but our new library is at Smith Hall. Andrew Carnegie, we can call it the Andrew Carnegie Library, but it's not a library for us anymore.
Are they
it's gonna be
is it a
that's
separate thing?
Carnegie Building, that's gonna be separate. The town is going to, as far as
To decide, yeah.
they're gonna hold on to it, there's discussion about how it's gonna be used, what the usage is going to be. Certainly, it's recognized as being a historic building. And should be, keep
It's
that.
not gonna be torn down.
No,
I understand the roof is good, so that's not a problem. It's not getting
yeah,
damaged or anything like that. But it's gonna cost a little bit of money also to renovate that, and we need a second egress, a ramp to go up the side, so this, but we're gonna concentrate on library, because we got a library now in trailers. And a
No,
trailer
no,
and
I
in the basement,
understand
so
that part of it.
we're not.
We're gonna blow this one up too.
no,
All right, thank
No,
you.
I've
That's all
gone,
I
I've gone
care.
on record that I would chain myself to the building if anybody talks about knocking down the building.
Make a
Yeah, I
2-man
mean,
chain.
Rap and I would have done that for the NAC train.
no one
the
I
James Briggs.
to in town, has mentioned anything. If anything, it's just revered that building and respected the building for what it is.
Right.
But I've watched too many things go down.
But we're gonna be positive and.
You know why?
And to me, that's
Yeah.
part of our,
I see it as a
Our
senior
goal.
center as a possibility. It's a senior center, veterans agent. Sorry.
With the
Historical
future
Commission.
office of historical commission.
Historical Commission Museum. That's all right. I think that's important because a lot of times what's left after the band comes through, nobody cleans up.
No, we,
And I think that's our responsibility to monitor that.
Well,
Really?
I tried to save the James Briggs bill and I made a motion. Rafa did not second that motion. He didn't know he could second it, unfortunately. But then we,
Yeah, but
I wasn't even allowed to discuss it. I
Right.
wanted I wanted 60,000 just to put a roof on it so we can preserve the building. Let's talk
Right.
about what we're gonna do in the future.
But I don't want that to happen again, but
It's not gonna happen.
no, that's
well,
what.
that's what we say, but.
Some of us are chaining
As long
ourselves
as
to the
the
building.
historical commission is willing to take that on as a.
I haven't heard one person
No.
I think about 10% of Daytonians want that preserved.
Because we
Yeah.
Right.
went through that with the VFW.
Same thing
and,
with the school.
The Targaree down on the north end,
I did talk about.
talk,
Okay.
just till they knock
One-
it down.
I did talk about moving the county library over to the building over here, and then we could add on to it just before we get
Beautiful.
Smith Hall.
Yeah.
But it was too expensive. It's a.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I just wanted
Yeah,
to know.
no,
Moving on, so we will in December have an update for you. We didn't have any correspondence. I don't see any public input. We still have one open commission position here. And our next date to meet is December 13th at 6 p.m. And
Did anything more come of Jasmine's issue? I noticed she's not here.
I did send some more information to
you hear
MHC and I have not heard back from them. They did send me something that indicated she may have to do another project notification form. And I sent them information saying another date. It was like 2011, but I haven't heard back yet. So
What's
I will-
that? Yeah,
that
I'm
was-
rookie. I don't. Jasmine and MH.
that was the woman that came through a public input at our last.
Oh, okay, yes,
Yes.
yes.
But I'm keeping tabs on that.
One last thing, if I could. Did we give the rail trail people what they requested as far as, I don't think
That's an
Sorry, what?
ongoing project.
but they had asked for a report on inputs from historical.
They haven't met recently.
they haven't met, they had 3 meetings, like, I want to say in September, could have been part of October. There's no scheduled meeting coming up, but they know that Historic Commission,
Right.
Pat Gales is one of the stakeholders, so they know when it comes to anything historical, they will notify her. They've been doing Zoom meetings, so that's,
But I mean, those, did we supply that report? Was it?
No,
Architectural
that's
people?
still ongoing. We're still
That's still
working on
going
it.
on. Okay,
Yeah, that's nowhere near completion for the submission.
kind of curious what historical there is along that, to be
yeah,
honest.
they're
with you.
going to have a public hearing at some point again, so.
I have a list of sites where you,
Okay, I'll shut up now.
and nothing else. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? Okay, on discussion, no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I said sorry, I said I. Not supposed to
Back.
Oh, yeah.
vote on this.
Right back.
It is adjourned.
Oh, and thank you for the shirt.